see. Give about 10 seconds. That usually is how long it takes. I just threw my hair up, went to the store. Okay.
I've been there before. Definitely done that.
And we'll wait on everyone to come in. So I was bad and I kept watching. I'm on like
I knew
episode
you
6.
would. I mean, Steph, when we were in the book club together, Steph never stopped. She would like always go ahead. She read ahead. So I figured that Steph would, and it wouldn't shock me if you did. I did not go ahead. And I learned because in the book club I would get disappointed in things. And like I think was it when we were doing Midnight Sun? And I was like, I hope it improves. And you guys were like, it's not, it's not going to. So,
It doesn't improve. No.
so I was like, I don't want to go ahead, because I already was doing the comparisons and things.
Mhm.
So the first thing that I wanted to ask you, because we had talked about this behind the scenes a lot,
Okay, but
was,
wait, just let's do an introduction and say hi to people,
yeah, that's
and
a
then
good
we will.
idea.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is going to be a spoilers version of the new season of Bridgerton. That is season 2, episodes 1 and 2. So we're going to be talking about today. So if you haven't seen those and you don't want spoilers, wait until you've seen them to watch this video. This is my great friend Tia, and we are going to be talking about these 2 episodes, our thoughts on them, where we think things are going, all of that stuff. So thank you for joining us or watching it back, whichever. I have my tea set up. I am ready to go to spill all of the tea. I even have my cookies. And we
I
are
just got
going
milk, guys, just milk.
to just drinking milk. So thank you
So,
everyone for joining us. This is Connect, Create, and Reflect, Crafting Journey, and Shawana. Good morning. So we're big Bridgerton nerds, and we're not afraid to admit it. And I had a really hard time yesterday at work not turning on my Netflix and watching the episodes. I waited.
So I tried Thursday night. I
Mhm.
checked Netflix about 9, and there was nothing. I was so disappointed. I was like, it should release at midnight on the East Coast, and then maybe checked again around 10. Nothing. I woke up to a message from Crashly. She saw it and she was already starting on it. She finished
Mhm.
in one day. She like started and couldn't stop. So trying to keep her from spoiling things and giving me her facial expressions is
Mhm.
a lot.
Yes.
So we
So
we started.
I don't think it launched until like 2 a.m.
Was it that? Okay. Well, I
I
was
think it
in
was
bed
like
by
2
then.
a.m. And I know a lot of my overseas friends, or at least early bird friends, some people I had already seen when I woke up yesterday morning and checked my Facebook. They were already talking about it. I was like, nope, can't do any of it.
Yeah, so
So
I did steer clear of social media. Steph was given the warning, steer clear. So I
mhm.
definitely, didn't get at all, didn't go on at all, which was good. And then I was on Mickey's show and I forgot that Crashly started early. And what she was doing was trying to throw facial expressions. So
Mhm.
I was
Oh,
guesstimating.
good.
Oh, and then I was like, oh, so hopefully I won't be spoiling too much for you guys. I did not go ahead. Marissa did.
I did. I couldn't
So,
stop. I'm like on episode 5 or 6.
woo,
Oh
you
my god.
far, you far.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's it. That's it. Just wait for it.
So,
Okay.
I
So
watched episode 1, and then after 1, I went back to season 1, just because I was wanting to have more of a connection with some things that had unfolded in the book and things. And there was a lot. Like Shonda, she threw in some extra stuff. Obviously, you guys know Marina. Wasn't she dead or something? Marina was
yeah, and she's a Bridgerton cousin first. She
correct.
didn't
Bridgerton,
release
not a
her book.
Featherington.
Mhm.
Yes,
And we find out in book 5 that she died.
correct.
So we don't even
So
I don't
that's
think
what
we ever hear about her until book 5.
we don't ever really hear about her. So that was something. And obviously, I was trying to just reconnect myself with
Mhm.
the storyline and things like how are we going to unfold. from here. And we know that Lord Featherington, he actually really died in in series one.
Hmm.
And so they're unfolding from that. They're trying to, re-emerge from that. But it is funny for them to refer to, I guess, the cousin as Lord
Yes.
Featherington. So what I wanted to start off asking you with is because everything unfolds. I do love their opening. But
Yes.
as everything unfolds and you come into this new season, some of the first things that we're going to be introduced to is, color, and
Hmm.
also not just of the characters, but the clothing. And we're in the Regency era, and we had some, discomfort about not being true to the time. Do you think that they've done a better job in this season so far?
Okay, listen, I have a whole page just on the fashion.
No worries. Let's get started. That's what we're here for.
Okay. Okay, so we'll start with fashion. So I went through, I had some pet peeves from last season, right?
Yes.
My first pet peeve was that the queen is about 40 years, 30 to 40 years out of date. So her clothes are mid to late 1700s, right? We're supposed to be in 1814, I think was last season.
1813 was last. Yeah. So
1813,
you're right.
1814.
1814 now. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so we're supposed to be in 1814, which is definitely the Regency style, which is a high directly under the bust, loose and flowing from there, kind of almost like a
Yes.
subtle, either a straight column or
Empire
a straight
waist, like a
line.
English
Yes,
empire waist. Yes.
exactly. Okay. So she is wearing basically Marie Antoinette, whole wigs, all the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now,
Full
part of
on. And
me,
you notice the hair
yes,
also. Well, the wig.
okay.
That's my pet peeve because I feel like that's
Part
a
of
bit
me
much.
can get behind this because it's so much fun to look at, right?
It is.
I love the wigs. I love how they're just ridiculous and over the top. I love it. Okay. The other part of me is like the queen at the time would have been at the forefront of fashion. She would have not been that far out of date in her clothes. She would have been wearing the most current styles. She would set the tone of fashion.
I
And I
agree.
guess that's what kind of bothers me.
The other thing that I feel, just to kind of add to that, is I feel there would be more. They say imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And I
Right.
feel if she's setting the tone with her style of dress, with the big wigs and the updos, and she's still in the wrong era, why aren't they more emulating her style?
Right.
Out of
Mhm.
flattery. They all want to be the diamond, so where is the imitation of her style and
Yes.
of what she's setting the tone for? So there is a disregard there, a disrespect. Maybe because we've plunked this character in out of nowhere.
Probably so, because this character we all went back. Stephanie Wolfpack will be joining us in future videos. She had plans
Yes.
today. But we all went back and read the book, book two. We've all, I think, gone back at some point and rewatched season one. I know I've rewatched it a couple of times. I think you're working on it. I know
I'm
Stephanie's
almost done.
rewatched it as well.
She's watching it
So
now.
this character does not really appear in the books the way that she does in the series, right? This is a completely made up character. Now I'm here for it. I love the character of the queen. Okay. Go from season one. She's got some great lines. I love the backstory because in history, King George was mad. Like he
Hmm.
had a
Yes.
lot of mental health issues. And I love that they're showing that story. I love that, you can feel the love and the despair and the just frustration in the queen with what is happening to this man that she loves, and everything happening as far as that goes. The fashion I love it and it irritates me at the same time. So I have that. My second irritation last year, my second pet peeve was those stupid bangs that Daphne had the entire season.
Yeah,
Just
she
that
did
little
have
curl.
bangs.
Like I was like, so far we have not seen the bangs. So
Nope,
I'm
we haven't.
fingers crossed that we're not going to see those little derpy bangs again from Daphne. That's one of my pet peeves. I'm looking for them to fix it. She looks great in the
She does
opening
look
scene.
great.
She looks really
Yeah.
nice.
So refined. She's
Um,
so refined.
she is, so I'm like, I've got like, oh, please don't come back with the bangs. Okay. Um, my third thing, and this is one of those things where in this series and in the books, um, Penny is described as being plus size or overweight, right? Which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about a plus size character. We need to have them. People all through history have been different
Yes,
sizes. Okay.
they have been.
There is a lot of fat shaming that happens in the books as far as Penny goes. They talk
Mhm.
about, her skin. They talk about, her mother dresses her in very unflattering colors, lots of yellows, which do not go
Yes,
with her red hair and her super pale
correct.
skin and things like that. And you see that. One of the things that really bothered me in season 1, and I think it was probably a design choice by the designers to show part of that storyline about how her clothes are ill-fitting, how they don't, really work with her, is that
Hmm.
those Regency tops should be fitted directly under the bust, which is the smallest part of your rib cage. So that what that does is it creates that small look
A
and it makes you
silhouette. That
smaller. It gives you
silhouette,
that
yeah.
silhouette, right? In season 1, a lot of Penny's dresses are cut short. So her bust is up here
It's
instead of being
high. It's very high
it is very
and
high, and
prominent. Yes.
they have shortened it, and it makes her look bigger. Now, I
Yeah.
think that was a design choice because when you get to the second book, it has said that she's lost 20 pounds or so, I think is what it says, a couple of stone. And I think a
A
stone is
couple of
12
stones.
pounds.
Yes. That's a
So about
okay.
20,
I've never
25
looked it
pounds.
up, but it
Okay.
does say she's lost a few stones. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's probably about 20, 25 pounds. So I'm wondering
That's where
if
you're going with that. I
possibly,
was thinking it was closer to this is just my way of thinking because I got a few stones of my own to lose, but I was thinking closer to 40 pounds, maybe 20
okay.
pounds each stone. But
Yeah,
that's
possibly. Yeah.
okay.
I think a stone is 12 pounds, but I'm not positive about that. Um,
Okay, well, go ahead on. We
yeah,
take 5 pounds at this point,
yeah,
but a couple stones
So
is really good.
I think what they did is in the first season, they did that on purpose because most of her dresses are cut that way.
Yeah. Okay, I can see what
Um,
you're saying.
and so that in the second season, they did bring that all of her dresses that I have seen so far in the second season have been cut properly
Okay,
and they look
so that's
so
good. That's good. Well,
yes.
I like that. I definitely like that. Now we talked about the style of dress and things. One of the other things that I like, I was looking and looking it up, is the characterization of the queen. I saw a lot of people that were like, yeah, there were no black people at that time. And so I'm reading that they were fashioning it on Queen Charlotte, who they feel
Who
in
has
real
been
life.
rumored, yes, who has been
Correct.
rumored to possibly have some
Hmm.
African ancestry. It has never been
Correct.
proven. There was
Correct.
lots of speculation, because I think her family was from the Caribbean. Um,
Creole, they were saying
yeah,
something like
they,
Creole. Hmm.
yeah. So it's never been proven. It's not really fact. It's just speculation. But yes, I think they kind of took that idea and said, "What if she is definitely black?" and kind of ran with it.
Okay,
Now,
I like
you and I
that.
have talked about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, we grew up, we like you want to see people that look like you in film and movies, right? You definitely want to do that. I love,
Representation. Yeah.
yes, you want the representation. I love that Bridgerton has used people of color to tell these stories and their main characters, and they're rich. They're not running around as servants or slaves or whatever, like every other period piece, that you've
Exactly.
seen from then on. I can suspend my knowledge of history enough to appreciate these wonderful actors of color, the different representations. I've seen pretty much every ethnicity, I think, in this show at some
Yeah,
point.
we have done that.
Um,
That's true.
and I love it. I personally love it. I know a lot of people have different ideas. They think it's, color baiting or race baiting or whatever you want to call it. I personally love it. I am so happy that they did it because it allows younger children to see people that look like them in roles that are important.
I agree. And one of the other things that I like is even taking away from, race and race baiting and things like that. One of the things that I like is there is a part of history where there had to be some, even in the smallest form, nobility
Mm-hmm.
and titles and riches to have been offered especially for someone who finds themselves in a position like the Featheringtons. When back in those eras, when if the father died, you could be outed by the rightful heir now of this location and things. And that is where positions came in, royalty from Africa or the Sudan or, the Aborigines or something. That's where someone with a title in another locale could play an important part in history and been actually brought into more historical,
Right.
storylines and things.
Well,
So I
and we'll talk
feel
about this. We can talk about this too because you and I have both been watching The Gilded Age, which is
that's
another
correct.
drama piece, a historical drama over on HBO. We both found it in the last couple weeks, and we're like, I binge
I'm in
watched the
love
whole
with it.
thing.
I am
Yeah,
in
I'm
love with it.
completely in love with
I'm
it.
on six or
Yes.
seven, six or I'm
Okay.
almost done with season
Yeah,
one.
there's
So
9 episodes. I finished all of them. I've started rewatching.
okay.
Um, so we'll have a discussion about the Gilded Age as well.
My
But
mother's watching it also. She's in love with it.
yeah,
And I was shocked because I tried to get her to come into Bridgerton with me and she
mhm,
wouldn't. And so she
mhm,
watched Gilded Age and she loves it. And now she wants to get in Bridgerton.
yeah. So, but there is my point in bringing up the Gilded Age is there is and there was historically a black elite that
Yes.
were wealthy. They had their own businesses. There were black people that owned slaves. Like it wasn't
Yep.
very common.
And they had their own black maids
Yes,
and servants and everything. Yes.
exactly. These things did happen in history, and I think
Hmm.
that shows pointing that out, letting people start a conversation about it, I think is a good thing.
I
So
do
I
too.
think that also is another role that these black characters play because I think people think that just because of what is taught in history, black people were only servants. They never had wealth. They
Yeah.
were always poor. They always were, ugly clothes. I love seeing them in these wonderful outfits that are colorful and
Yes.
bright and vibrant
Yeah.
because they would have been wearing the same things, if not in the same fabric, the same things that other people were
I
wearing.
agree.
So I have one more fashion pet peeve. What the F is Lady Featherington wearing? What is this dress shape? What is this style? Why
She
did
got
they do
all
it?
of the sequins.
Like
She
I
got all
can't.
sequins in the house. She's
What
not
is
going
that?
nowhere.
It's like a
She's
1980s
sparkling.
cut.
And
Like,
here's the other thing. She got sequins on top of flowers. Like this is
yes,
not just plain. It's not a plain color. It's not a soft gray lilac. She's
no.
got sequins on top of a dress full of flowers. So she's out of control at this point.
The
Uh,
shape of that dress is ridiculous. It is like it's
and look,
literally 1980s historically accurate. Not even like what is
it's
the
gaudy.
silhouette? Like, what the
It's
hell are they doing with her?
it. It's very gaudy, but yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because I noticed it also. But I was like, "What is with the sequins on top of the clothes in the house? She's not going." And she just said, "Her frown is just getting worse
Yeah, now
and
listen,
worse."
the actress, I love the actress that's playing this character because you just feel all of the just these idiots
I
around
need
me,
them to give her. I need them to give her a very strong romance, like passion. Knock some knees and let her loosen up. But I would
Yeah.
love to see that where Lady Featherington is concerned. Oh my gosh.
But yes,
So
I can't even. I'm just like, what is it like? There are cuss words. There are cuss words to describe how strongly I feel about it. Okay. All right.
the
So we talked
other
about
thing that I wanted, I only had well I kind of jumped in with mine, but I just had one more thing. The first ball, the
mhm,
dresses, with the jewelry embezzlement to match. Love that. When
mhm,
Lady Danbury shows up with the Sharmas, oh
mhm.
my. All of their dresses match their jewelry to a T, and I really love the observation of it. Their skin sparkled, they looked so elegant. So
They did.
that was something that really stood out. Obviously, dress is going to be, it's going to be eye catching. We're going to
Yeah.
be looking to see what they're wearing, how many balls they're going to attend, because that's the time and it's the season. But I loved how they showed when they appeared. It was gorgeous. The scene was like, you know, and so
Okay,
yeah, I
so
enjoyed
I
that.
wrote my favorite dresses. Now, I
Okay.
personally think that Eloise's debutante dress, that very first dress that you see her in when she comes out of her room,
Hmm.
I actually liked it better than Daphne's.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
did you like her comment to the queen? Oh, she's my favorite character. I love Eloise. I loved her from the first season. She's my favorite. I like
Okay. So we're going
Penelope
to talk about
slightly.
that later.
Okay, but I know what you mean. The dress is gorgeous. If
Yes.
she would stop fidgeting, and obviously that is turning her into Daphne at that point. But if she would
Hmm.
stop fidgeting, she is by far probably, just in my opinion, the most beautiful character in the series.
Yes, she's
But she
absolutely
just,
gorgeous.
she's all
Yes.
over the
Yeah.
place with her fidgeting and stuff.
Yeah.
But she is
I've got
so
thoughts. I've got
gorgeous to me.
thoughts on her character. Lots of them.
She's so funny. I love her natural wit, so
Hmm.
hopefully, as we begin to, because I noticed we're infusing her love story and a little Collins, already into this series. Again, that just gives me pause. And I'm looking at Gregory like, man, we're going to need a whole lot more than 8 seasons to bring you
To
into
get you old enough to be able to do this.
to be able to make you, we're gonna really gonna have to do some soap opera magic on him,
Yes.
and unfortunately
Uh-huh.
gonna have to kick his character out and bring in maybe his real life older brother that's maybe 20 years older than him. We got to do something with Gregory, but
And Hyacinth
um
too.
she's, yeah,
Okay.
maybe she can get some
So
at the end.
I also the first dress that you or maybe it's the second dress you see Lady Bridgerton in, it's a light blue with the
Hmm.
silver swirls on it. Love
I know
that
which one.
dress. Absolutely
Yeah,
love it. And it's not really a dress, but I think it's
you
still
talk about the
episode
one where she
one.
told Albert off, and they're about to, she's leaving and she's talking
It's
to Al,
it's
was
the
it
one
Benedict?
where they're in the sitting room right after the debut
Yes, that's the
debacle.
one.
Yes, that
Oh,
one.
I love, yeah, that's the
Mhm.
one that I like. It shaped her very well. I loved
Yes,
it.
yes. So that one, basically anything that Lady Mary and Lady Bridgerton wear, I'm on board for it. I think they're
Okay.
gorgeous. I think the fit is exquisite for both of them. The colors are amazing. I love all of them. Okay. That one was my favorite of Lady Bridgerton's. Now, there's a scene where Prudence goes into Penelope's room when she's sitting there reading the book and starts teasing her about writing
And
things.
she's going
Their
through all of her.
dressing gowns, the two of them have these dressing gowns on. Penny's is pink and
Hmm.
Prudence's is like a floral.
It's a
Love
floral.
them.
Really?
Absolutely love
Okay.
them. Yes. Like, and it's not a dress,
They
but
brighten up the scene.
yes, they do brighten up the scene. I love to see it. Um, we have not yet seen a corset without a shift on. So I'm
We talked
hoping that
about
they
that a few
fix
weeks
that
ago.
because that a lot of people were not happy with that because it would not have happened. And then my second or my down at the end of my list, the purple dresses that the Sharmas wear when they go visit the queen at the
When,
palace.
okay,
The
and they're
zebra.
bowing.
Yes, both of those dresses I think are gorgeous. I love the color palette of that entire scene because
That
Lady
scene. Lady
Danbury,
Danbury, she's got on a
yeah,
darker, yeah. So
yeah,
that,
darker version of
gosh,
their
we
purple.
think so much alike.
Hmm.
Obviously you're setting the scene, and that's in my notes as well, the palette. I like the darker
Hmm.
bit. I mean,
Hmm.
I really think that they did a great job on the coloring of the clothing.
Yes,
It,
absolutely. They
like you
did
said,
last
it
season
sets
as
the
well.
scene. Hmm.
Hmm.
Sets the scene, makes the scenes more vibrant. Definitely what I noticed, I didn't notice the detail about the flowers, for
Hmm.
Prudence, in the floral dress. I just remember taking note that this scene is very vibrant. They've lightened it up, although it
Hmm.
was a mean moment.
Yes,
I just
yeah.
want to hit her. I don't like her. But I'm
Well,
hoping that,
you get major stepsister, evil stepsister vibes
you do.
from Prudence and Philippa, and it's just
So,
like,
hmm
is that very sisterly? I
No,
mean,
it's not.
if you have a sister,
It's
things like
not.
that
I'm
need
a
to be
mom, and my I was just getting on my mother. I hear my mom talking to her sister a few days ago, and she's talking kind of loudly and kind of harshly. And I'm
addressed.
like, Mom, come on now. Just,
Listen,
y'all
sometimes your
don't.
sisters say things you don't want to hear, and they're not very
Well, that's
nice.
how
I'm just
Prudence
letting you
is with Penelope, and I don't like it. I feel like she's like a little mean.
know.
So she they almost helped develop and create this Lady Whistledown because
Yes.
there could be some more compassion, and I can understand she needs a voice. She needs to. So I'm
Yes.
hoping that I know that she's taken her cue, in the series. She's taken her cues from mostly Eloise and things, but
Mhm.
I'm hoping that a little bit more of that comes out. And it's hard to put your family on blast and stuff like that. But maybe,
Right.
mm,
Well, and I do
maybe,
see it in some of the ways that she writes. She can be just as kind of vicious as her
yes.
family. You
And
see it
she,
every now and then with the things that she writes. She is a little kinder about it in her wording,
hmm
but she can be just as vicious as they are. So I want to see how they develop that as she
that's what I'm wondering.
matures and kind of develops her voice more.
Hmm.
I'm interested to see if the tone of things change because she started out and yes, she kind of made fun of people or pointed out social
Hmm.
faux pas, but she was never really vicious about it.
No, but she is,
Where
and now it's like it's her family's influence, but she's leaving out just the part where she has a voice. The whole ton is, awaiting each and every newsletter that comes out. So she now has a voice. And I do agree with where they're going when Eloise is like, yeah, but she's not saying anything. What can we do she needs to change it up. She's saying the same old things from last year and things. So again, I'm with you. I hope to see that they are able to kind of change that because the one thing that I'm noticing the difference between the two historical series is that she has a way that she can maybe communicate to change how the next seasons unfold.
Mhm.
And that doesn't happen so much in the Gilded Age. They're so based on, time and tradition and,
Right.
old money versus new money and things. And so I would like to see, just the distinction. We got Shondaland over here. And then I believe the Gilded Age is Sally Richardson
It's
Whitfield
Julian Fellows.
and Julian Fellows. Oh, Julian
Yes,
Fellows,
so
I think, is
Julian
the
Fellows
writer.
is the writer, and he
The
wrote
writer.
Downton
Yeah,
Abbey. Yes. So I think we're
correct.
gonna see
And
more. I think Gilded Age, to me, it has the feel more of
yeah,
Downton Abbey.
tradition.
Yeah, more
Tradition, gentry,
that
and things.
tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit closer to historical. From what I've seen, it's going to be a little closer to historical. To where this
Hmm.
I would consider because it's based on a romance novel. I
Yeah.
would consider this more of a like fantasy drama, historical
Okay. I
fantasy
like that.
drama. Maybe that's just my opinion on it.
Well, I hope they
So,
play that out. With Shonda being the executive producer, and we know she's
mhm,
a great authoress and writer, screenwriter. So I'm
yeah,
hoping that she definitely develops that because Sally Richardson, as far as I know, she's just an actress that came into, some great money and now she's
mhm,
producing.
yes,
So we'll see where that, each series goes. But yeah, I like the aspect that they're trying to maybe develop. I know they're gonna try and determine who it is, but I like the aspect of having a lady whistle down and someone that's
yeah,
there that can help forge, the error. So hopefully that
yes,
opens up as each season comes along.
absolutely.
Good, good, good.
Okay, so we've talked about fashion. Now, I will say I have a couple other things. I did see a couple of repeat dresses from last season, and I actually really like that. I
You
love it.
do?
Yes, I do. I love it because, and especially like the ones that you see, or at least the ones that I see. There's one. It's like a bluey silver that Lady Bridgerton wears to the little fete
Hmm.
that Lady Danbury puts on,
Hmm.
and all the guys are the poetry night or whatever they wanted to call it. I loved
We'll
that
talk
dress in
about
season
that.
one. And so I'm real happy that she wore it again. And then the same thing with Eloise, because you only saw her in that really pretty mint colored dress with the
Hmm.
jewels, the different colored jewels here. You only saw it for half a second in the first season. You
Yeah.
never really got a good look at it, and you get a good look at it this time. I think a couple of Penelope's dresses also were repeated. Now they gave us the
Now,
reason
a
why.
few of hers are, yeah, and they did tell us the
Mhm.
reason why, but I did notice that Eloise and Penelope's dresses I
Yes.
saw in the previous season. So that was a good call out. I like that.
So I personally love the repeat dresses. I don't think you could do it with every single dress, but for those ones that you really didn't get to see very much of in the first season, I actually really like it. And
Don't
then
worry,
I
we'll be seeing
also,
a lot of the Featheringtons repeat clothing.
yes, I also noticed that we were talking about color palette. I
Hmm.
love the color palette that they have developed for Kate. Those deep, rich jewel tones. Of course, anybody that knows
Yeah.
me knows those are my favorite kinds of colors. Is those deep, rich jewel tone colors, and then the subtle Indian um like references with as far as like the patterns
Hmm.
in some of the
You can
brocades
see
and
them,
in some of
and yeah, I was
the
gonna say you can
dresses
see them in
they
the
wear.
embroidery and things.
Yes, I love that they have incorporated that. Still made it look very English in cut, like they would have worn, but they have those subtle references, those subtle callbacks in the clothing themselves. I really appreciate little details like that.
Yeah.
I know Mrs. Lady Sharma at one point is wearing, I think it's in the Queen's Ball scene, and she has on like a cream colored dress. But if you
Yes.
look at the overlay, the mesh overlay, there is a very subtle Indian. I
Like an
don't know what
embroidery
the dress is
pattern
called.
design.
Yeah, all the patterns on there are very Indian, traditional
I
Indian
like
types
that.
of patterns. So I love that absolutely. So hello
Now,
everyone that come in. We're gonna keep going, but
now
put
I
your
will say
comments as we go.
for Kate, loved her style. Two things as far as the characterization that I don't like whatever the wig piece that they have on the top of her head. I do, they're definitely playing up the Indian. She's lighter, in her regular pictures and things. So, you know, I think maybe evening out, the coloring a little bit more. But I know
Okay.
she's lighter and,
Well, and I
so
think part of it too is this was shot. They started its shooting in the spring, and then they had to stop because of COVID. Several of the cast members and things got
okay.
COVID, and the crew.
So she
And so I
probably
think
is tanned.
most of this was filmed in the summer. And you
Okay.
notice there's a lot of outdoor scenes. So
That's
I
true.
think, like the both of us, probably they were outside
Yeah.
a lot, and she
And
just
we're
got
darker and lighter. Okay.
darker.
So
Mhm,
that was the only thing I was like, and the hair and then that. The
mhm.
only other characterization I didn't like, and she can't help it if she was given this part, is it was out of left field for me. And it just didn't fit in the era. Not that a lot, but when she was at the race and she was whistling and things like
Oh
that,
yes. Uh-huh.
I
That was
like I
very uh it took her out of character.
correct. I feel like it
Yeah.
took her so far out of character. Now we get that she's competitive, and she's been able to do that, like being a quiet storm. She
Mhm.
took off on the horse and she was a force to be reckoned with, but it wasn't loud, it wasn't overbearing or foreboding or anything. It was her in her natural,
Yes.
self. So that's why I didn't like the whistling part. I felt like, this is so out of character. She would do this, but she would do it so quietly. She,
Right.
like how she gave
Mhm.
her prediction on which horse it would be. It was just in your
Quiet, matter
face.
of
I know
fact,
I'm
very
right. Correct.
self-assured. Yes.
Correct.
So with Kate, what I've seen, I think it's very similar to the books in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
She is not afraid to go toe to toe with Lady Danbury, which I can respect. Like, I totally understand that. Um, I do think, like you said, there were a couple of times where, like that one, when she is at Lady Danbury's ball and she comes up and she is just like, this is Lady Bridgerton. And she's just like, pleasure. And then she keeps going. Kate
Yeah,
would not
very
have done that. If
disrespectful.
yes,
Yeah.
if Kate knew and taught her sister how to
Thank
behave,
you.
she knows how to behave in society. She would
Thank
not
you.
dared
Gentry
risk. Yeah,
Gentry is
you
something
don't do
that,
things.
yeah, and you do not, and she would know this because
Yes,
she has made sure her sister has impeccable Gentry. And so
yes,
that was, some of the moments where I'm like, ah, come on, this is outside and this is
yes,
overbearing. But she was so dismissive and so disrespectful of
yes.
the
Of
queen.
someone that
Yeah,
was ranked very much higher
someone that
than she is,
exactly. So there was no
and that would
observation of
never have
Gentry at
happened.
all.
Mhm.
That's how I felt.
Yes,
So, I can understand, living with a dichotomy, but that was just there's not even
yes.
like two halves of the same whole. This was just completely outside of character. So, those were the characterizations that I noticed that, like obviously
Mhm.
you observed it as well.
Yes.
So hopefully, as I continue to watch further episodes, there's less and less of that and they're merging her truly with the character in the book and things. I like the
Well, and
strong
yes.
characterization of her. I like that. But not
Yeah,
don't be disrespectful and
of all of the books, I would say probably Kate is probably one of my favorite characters out of the entire series. She does get stubborn and she does admit when she's, made mistakes and things like that.
yeah, she
But
does.
I like how self-assured she is. I like how strong she is as a person.
That's what I
She's
like.
got, weaknesses like we all do, but um she hold on just a second. Um Sorry, I'm having a mod over here. There are things that are issues, and then there are things that I really don't see that as being part of that character. I don't see that as
Yeah.
being true to that character. I think the whistling, she didn't in the book, she didn't misbehave. There were
No.
things that happened, but she did not misbehave like that in the books. And I understand why they did it, but not really here for it.
It was still over the
So
top, yeah.
So let's talk about your favorite character, Eloise. Okay.
My character.
I think my personal opinion on Eloise, I liked her from last season. This season so far, I'm going to say this, you're not going to like this. I am finding her more whiny than witty, right?
Okay.
She knew this was coming. I get that she doesn't want to do it, but she's been raised. She knows how to behave, and she's just kind of like, you can be awkward, but I think they've taken it over the top with her character. She's got all of
Yeah.
these words and all of these thoughts and things like that, and then all of a sudden somebody asks her a question and she can't speak. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that doesn't
I
seem to
agree.
be like
I
really
agree with you
true.
there.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you there. I don't like the fidgeting. I
Yes.
do feel like that is a little too exaggerated. I feel she would be
Yes.
uncomfortable initially putting it on. And then again, when she has to maybe present, I get that. But we had a remarkable, faux pas. And so you didn't officially have to go on display and present. And you
Right.
should have those nerves now out of the way. Like how she just kind of leaned
Mm-hmm.
forward. I like that moment where she was herself and she made a dumb comment that I bust up laughing. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, I don't sound like that. And it was the queen laughing
Yes.
also. That was,
Yes.
I was like, ooh, you
Yes.
gonna mess around and be the diamond. Quit,
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
I
Yes.
love that I was going through that moment with, the storyline. I like that a lot. But I do agree. She complaining too much and she's
Mhm.
expecting change from her complaints,
Right.
instead of,
Yes.
like you said, being that voice in the moment that she has. She's not, she can't speak and she's not representing herself. And that is another, I don't want to say, like where they're running off with the character, but that is just, it doesn't feel like it's genuine to the characterization.
Yes.
So I don't
Yes.
know if they have multiple people writing some of these, pieces and things and
Mhm.
putting them together, but that's where the storyline and the characterizations, kind of go opposite directions. So good
Yes.
call out there. I like that.
Yeah.
But she is fun.
So
She's
yeah, like she would not have. I don't feel like that character. Let me try this again. I feel like a character like Eloise that was presented to us in season 1 would take these things almost as a challenge. Like she would not be like she would be nervous, but she would refuse to show it. You know what I mean?
exactly
Like she would kind of be a little bit more outgoing. Even if she felt awkward, she would refuse to let other people see that because she would see it as a weakness, right?
I agree.
So
Yeah.
she would hate every minute, but still not do something like run out of her debut in front of the queen to embarrass herself and her family.
Right.
Like,
So
I
you're
don't,
I mean,
yeah.
yep, it's getting to
So,
that point.
yes.
How do
I'm
you like
feeling
her suitor? How'd you like
which
her
one?
suitor when he came to the redhead? When he came,
Oh, okay, that when he gets down on the floor and plays marbles with the kids, and she's just like, I'm done. Like, you know what? I'm here with you, girl. Like,
um,
um, I think she kind of knows what she's looking for in a suitor, but I don't think she thinks she's going to find it. Now, I would think that she would um, know that. Sorry, I think she would know that there would be intellectuals, people that she could get along with. I don't know if they're at these parties, but yes, yeah. So I'm gonna Deanne, I'm gonna make you a mod, and um, Robin, if you're still here, I'm gonna make you a mod as well to help me with these trolls, if you would please.
they here for the
Um,
topic.
yeah, okay. So those are my thoughts on Eloise. I'm feeling she's very one dimensional this season compared to season 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I do agree.
So,
I just, I don't know, what they could have done different. Obviously, and I hope, I've only done 2 episodes because I didn't go
mhm,
ahead. But I hope that they don't fully, and they started doing that in second episode, fully unfold her, romance,
mhm,
and her build up and things of that nature. I do like to see the observance of real romance, not just, ooh, how you doing, Marissa? Mwah,
yeah,
and then,
yes,
boom, 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 close off and things. So I do like to see and observe, the romance as it unfolds and stuff. So hopefully, it's just a little snippet and, they don't fully
yes.
unfold and step on her storyline and things.
Mhm.
So, we'll see. I know I got a few more episodes to go, and you know,
Okay, so let's talk about our main character, our main male lead this season, Anthony the Viscount Bridgerton. Okay, so listen, from season 1, he's been kind of a jerk, and I think he's upgraded this season to just being a straight up dick. Like,
okay. So I just wanted. I was hoping. Whew.
yeah,
So,
he's
he is
so
so irritating to me. He is
yes,
so irritating. There is no redeem at this point. Episode 2, no redeeming character, and I'm already wanting her, either one of them, the Sharma sisters, with Mister. Was it Lord Lumley or what's his
yeah, whatever.
title?
Yeah, I think
The
it's Lumley. I think that's correct. Yeah,
Lumley. I like him. And
yes,
he's not the main character. Why? That's horrible that I want to see the romance flourish between someone else. So he's playing the part extremely well. But again, over the top with the writing because
yes,
you don't have to be that much of a prick. He's
yes,
trying so hard for something that he doesn't even want. He's not doing it for love. He's doing it to just, and do you really want to pull just anyone because they check boxes off, and you're not,
right.
so
So you see it in the dating scenes. You see the questions that he's asking. I think they're very good questions to ask. Like they're
mhm,
very, relevant questions to ask. But he's doing this more in a more robotic fashion than
yes,
anything else, and he just expects this woman to like fall in and be happy when he has offering her basically money. Like that's it. Like that's
That's
all he's
it.
offering.
Yeah.
Money, his family, maybe. Um,
And he's
you
got
know,
plenty of time to pay other women. Just keep paying other women,
exactly.
So
Like I understand, like he has these duties, he has these responsibilities. I do kind of feel like he might be drowning in those a little bit, getting a little overwhelmed in those. But I think in the book, Robin pointed out, in the book, he has this fear of mortality. He's convinced that he's going to die at age 38, just like his father did.
his father did, yeah.
Right. We won't go in. I won't say anything else about that. So read the books. But
And that's a
they're
good
not doing a
viable
very good job
reason.
of showing that. You
They're
know.
not. That's what they're not doing. They're not displaying his compassionate side. So right
Mm-hmm.
now he's a prick, and I don't like him,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want any one of the characters with him. Because
Right.
at that scene where he was outside with the other eligible gentlemen of that was a
And
horrible
it's
scene.
complete locker room talk. Like it's
Hmm.
exactly what we would think of as locker room talk, the 1800s version, but it's locker room talk. And it's like she heard that. Why would she want you?
And he's expecting her to say, okay, well, I wasn't meant to hear it. It's still how you
Mhm.
think. It's still how all of you think. So don't
Yes,
show up here because I know how you think.
exactly.
In
Yeah,
2022, you just want to hit it and quit it. But,
exactly. Yes,
of the time, 18, 14, it's you don't have honorable intentions. And why
yes,
would I, after hearing that, want her to entertain? It makes perfect sense. And it's
yes.
almost like he is so arrogant about, well, get over it. Why
Hmm.
would she?
Yeah.
So
Why
we
would you
have
want your
this
sister with someone like that? The sweet girl. Everything we've seen about Edwina, she's sweet, she's kind. She's
very
happy.
sweet girl.
Kind of a thing. Why would you want her with someone like him? Like I'm fully on Kate's side in this where like, no,
Exactly.
dude. Um, no, just no.
Now, when you were watching the trailers, did you think that Edwina was going to be so sweet and so charming?
Kind of, yes. I think you get a better picture of Edwina from the books. And I think
Yeah,
for the character of Edwina, they are staying very true to the books with her characterization.
very sweet.
I think she's a little bit more naive and sheltered in the series
In
than
the
she is in the
Yeah,
books.
yeah.
But yes, I feel like that's probably the character they're staying the most true to so far. Um, it'll be interesting to see how her character develops because, like, when you go and you read the later books, she's very much closer to Hyacinth. She's very witty. She's
Yes.
very sharp. She gets these little barbs in, which I really appreciate. But so far, I think she is staying very true. I think she's only
Okay,
supposed to
good.
be, what, 18, 16, 17
16, I
in
think,
the books?
in the book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's very
16.
young. Yeah, and so I do think it makes a lot of sense the way that they're portraying the character, and I'm appreciating it. But I also don't think she would be attracted to him based on the
That's the
behavior
other.
that we see from him.
Yeah, that's the other thing I am just totally blown over by is the fact that these she's listening to everything he's you
Hmm.
know and her sister is being very transparent with her. She told her the things that he's represented and that she knows him to be. And I would think that there is more. She acts as though she trusts her sister's implicit, mindset, and her understanding of Gentry. She's doing everything. She even told him initially, it's my sister's say that you would need to,
Hmm.
gain approval on. So, with that said, then why isn't there more of an adherence to the discomfort that she feels when he
Right.
comes around and is trying to woo you? Why isn't there, hey, my sister said, you ain't the boo, you can't be my boo? Why isn't there more adherence, in alignment with that is my question.
Right. Well,
So,
and I think she really likes Lord Lumley. You
yeah.
know what I
Oh,
mean?
I
And
like him too.
I do too. I do think there is a part of Edwina that does know she has to marry well. Like she's the hope for her family that she has to marry well. So there's a part of me that's wondering. She really likes Lord Lumley. I think she kind of convinces herself at the beginning that she could like Lord Bridgerton, and he's got the higher title.
He does.
And
He
I
does.
kind
I
of
can
wonder
understand
if
that.
that's some of the motivation there, because I believe in a lot of the scenes he's the highest ranked in the room. Now that the Duke isn't around, unfortunately.
The Duke is
So,
off the market.
moment of
Um,
silence.
so the booty clip. Let's talk about the booty clip. We had
Okay.
the booty clip from Ray J. Jean last year.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
the Duke's booty clip, and this year, we've had three so far booty clips from. Is it his character? I guess is kind of maybe taking away the wow. But how do people feel about the little booty clip?
Okay. So I know. Okay. So this is the
Don't
problem with
remember, I'm
internet.
on episode 2.
I know. So I'm trying to figure out what happened when.
All we've had is booty clips. He leaving these 3 shillings on the dresser 3 separate times.
Okay. So listen, this actor, Jonathan Bailey is his name that plays Anthony. He's got a rockin' bod.
Hmm.
Okay, he does. Like, I'll give him all the credit to all of his hard work that I'm sure he spends, time in the gym and all that stuff. Reggie was just.
You like no comparison.
I'm sorry.
I
Like,
was here
I
for
just.
it though. I was like, oh my god, when are they gonna do the booty clip? And
Yeah,
so
because they
I
did.
did
And
get
you know
my.
what? And that's one thing I appreciate about Shonda. There's a lot less boobs and a lot more male butts.
There we go. So I couldn't wait. I was so excited. And that was one of the things I kept saying, oh, they better give me a booty clip. They bet. And then I got my, like I said, he need little 3 shillings. Obviously, his character, I need for them to start redeeming him so I can tie my excitement over the booty clips into,
Yes.
oh, my Anthony. I'm not there yet, but I'm loving the booty clips. So
Okay. So,
hopefully.
how do we feel about the chemistry so far between Kate and Anthony?
Oh, I feel it. I do feel it. But again, the only times I feel it are when they have that witty banter because that's
Mhm.
what I like. I like to observe romance as it's unfolding.
Mhm.
When I look at the two characters independently and things like that, I feel she run, Kate,
Right.
we're not hearing anything at this point. But when they're together, like at the after the race, the little banter that kind of went back and forth with them, especially when he was trying to come to her rescue, and she hopped that was like yes,
That fence.
and then
Yes.
when
I was
she
like, yeah,
stopped
girl.
and she pulled her hood down to let him know, dude, I got this. Oh, I loved that, loved it, and I was like, that's right, leave
I
some of you
love how
on his brain.
she puts him in his place.
Hmm.
Like, she's
Yep.
just like, she's not having it. Don't try to be charming. Like, I'm not
Hmm.
having it. Like, I can see you for what you are. You may be hot, but you're stupid. And that's.
Exactly. Um, and so then the other moment, I really like how when they were sitting there with the races and he explained his bet and she came in was like, listen, you did it all wrong. All
Yeah.
you did was put plunk money down off of somebody you were what you should have done was. Now if he's a writer and she already bested him and now she got to tell him, you're right. Hey, how come you didn't look at the, strength of their legs, the type of sod that they're going to be running on, the diet that this type of horse has to have? How come you didn't? I'm looking at it. Oh, I put my money here. You know, Obviously it never
Mhm.
dawned on him, but I love how here we go, round two. We just won
Yes.
round two, too, boo.
Well,
So
and
I
that's,
love
I
that.
honestly, I put in my notes as I was watching, I was taking notes yesterday as I was watching it the first time. And I put Kate versus Anthony, 2 points to Kate.
That's what I got. That's what I
Just
got.
blew up on
So
him.
there's gotta be a time where, when he best us, whew, it's just gotta, we gotta get him to redeem himself immediately because I need to feel, like I said, the way that they are when they're, besting each other and bantering, love it. And I gotta feel
Mhm.
that connection where I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, you just told me to shut up, baby, and you could do it anytime." Boy, I love how you said that.
Yes.
So I'm waiting for that moment, you know.
Yeah,
So
and I
yeah.
think it does tie back last season to the Duke, because the Duke had a lot of the same, very self-assured, very almost arrogant, things like that. But you saw his tender side. You saw how he
Mhm.
could be, he walked her through things.
Mhm.
You saw that other side to him. And I'm feeling like Anthony's very like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. He's almost punishing the girls because he has to marry them.
Yes.
And it's like, well, you don't have to. You have brothers.
So that
You
was the other thing I wondered. Obviously, we talked about Gentry a little while ago, but one of the things I wondered is, and maybe you can help me with this, because Eloise wasn't chosen as the diamond, he had to present or become eligible. Is that how that
no.
works? Or okay, because I
Okay.
didn't understand that.
So historically in England, they practice what's called primogeniture. Okay.
Hmm.
That means everything that a lord or someone in the gentry possesses, or really anyone, is passed down to the eldest son. At this time in history, women couldn't own property. Okay. So
Yeah,
you're
I
seeing that
remember
with the
that.
Featheringtons. When Lord Featherington dies, his wife doesn't get what's left. It goes to a cousin.
The
Okay.
closest male
Because he's a
heir.
male.
Yeah.
The closest male relative is who gets it. So when the Lord Bridgerton dies, their father dies, um, then everything went to Antony. Okay. So even though there's also Benjamin and Colin and Gregory, he's got three brothers, they are dependent on Antony unless they choose to go serve in the military or become a
Okay.
clergyman or something like that. That's why you see in these historical pieces a lot of like second and third and fourth sons. They go on and have these careers either in the military as a clergyman, sometimes as a scholar or a teacher or someone like that,
Okay.
because that would give them a living basically. So Antony, the oldest, would have paid for them to get the training for that or to enlist them as an officer in the army, because that's the way that was done. They wouldn't have just been an enlisted man. They would have gone in as an officer. They would have to go to school and all that stuff. Um, so basically, you see a lot of like in the first season, Benedict talks about kind of being at loose ends, right?
Hmm.
Because he's basically there living off of his older brother, even though he is
Okay.
also a grown ass man, right? Because he's
That's
supposed to
true.
be, he's if Anthony's what 33, I think Benedict's only like a year or two younger than him.
Yeah, about 30,
So
31.
yeah, so he's 29, 30 somewhere in there, and doesn't really have a career. You know what I mean? So what do you do to fill all that time if you don't work? The same thing with Colin. You see it in Colin as well. He speaks to Penelope about it a couple of times, but that's
Hmm.
why he goes and travels so much.
And travels. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. And so
I
he
figured that with him, but I was wondering, like, okay, what's going on? Okay.
yeah.
So that makes
So
sense then.
basically, Antony has decided, because he thinks he's going to die, according to the books, he thinks he's going to die at age 38, the same age as his father, right? So he's like, all right, if I'm 33, that means I've got 5 years to wed, bed, get an heir, and a spare, you know. And so he's basically thinking he's on a timetable in the books. So he has decided he's gotten the eldest sister married, which was Daphne last season. He's decided it's time for him to go onto the marriage mark. It's time for him to
Okay.
fulfill this
It's
duty.
time. Okay. So that's why.
Right. So that's
And
why
he
he
would have
is
held
now
off if
choosing.
she were the diamond. He would have held off at least one more
It
season,
really doesn't have
maybe.
anything to do with Eloise being the diamond.
Okay.
The diamond was more of a status for the women, and it just meant you were the most desirable. And so, when Daphne was announced as the diamond, she was very desirable. You see, he runs everyone off. But his being eligible and being on the market is different than Daphne or than Eloise, and it doesn't really have one thing to do with the other. So he
Okay.
just happened to
And I
choose
think
this.
where my confusion came in was because that's when she wasn't the diamond. That's when was it? was it Benedict, or yeah, it was Benedict, and he was like, "Well, I guess you'll have to, make your announcement as being the most eligible bachelor now." Let's see, episode one, when he said that, I think that's when I was like, "Wait a minute, does that mean, is that
Yeah, no,
tied to it
so
somehow?"
yeah, so
So he was just
basically
being funny.
he's the most eligible because he's the highest ranking.
Okay,
So
there
at
we
least
go.
as far as we know, um, as a Viscount, he's up the
The next
list because
highest
I
rate,
think
yeah,
it's like Duke, Earl, Viscount, Baron,
Lord,
Sir.
and yeah,
I think that's how that goes. I'll have to look that up before our next discussion, but I think that's how the ranks go. So he's fairly high up. I mean, they're not just down at the bottom of the tier, basically. So he's very sought after. Like people would want to, just like everybody wanted to marry the Duke last season. If he's the highest ranking lord in the room, then the women are going to want him because
okay.
highest
Well,
ranking
that makes
usually
sense.
also means the richest.
Whew. Well,
Yeah.
so obviously you've gotten a little bit further along,
Mm-hmm.
and you could probably, mentally determine if some of what I'm going to say, I hope to see, unfolds. But for this season, and we kind of talked about it a little, already, I definitely hope to see uh, Lady Whistledown just exert a little bit more, maybe, of her family,
Mm-hmm.
and have a little more voice in the town. So I'm hoping to see that unfold in this season. I do not want to see too much observance of Eloise's, build up to a strong romance. I'm hoping that we
Mm-hmm.
don't. I have a feeling, what else are we going to do? We need some scandal. We definitely need some scandal,
Right.
and whoever it shall be, but we do need, maybe it'll be, what's her name, Genevieve, the dressmaker. I did see a
Oh,
little
Madame
bit of,
Delacroix.
is that it, Genevieve
Yeah,
Delacroix? Yeah.
Madame Delacroix. Mm-hmm.
Malum. Okay, so I'm wondering,
I do love.
you
I have
know
to interrupt. I love how she completely shot down Benedict. She's like,
she
"Nah, I'm
shut him
out."
down.
She
She
did.
shut him down.
I was like,
She's
"Get
like,
it,
look,
girl."
boo, you ain't getting no free patterns over here.
Nope.
You want to wink wink this way, you got to send some
Mhm.
money too. You got to do the full on. But
Yes.
obviously that sets us up then for a beautiful story with him. I think I love his height. It's hard,
Mhm.
to find men that have, especially when it comes to Hollywood. Everybody can't be 6'4",
Mhm.
225, chiseled body and a nice rear for the booty clip and things like that. So, I think we gonna have something to look at when we get to his story, though, because he has the height. So, um, I
Okay,
do
so
hope to.
what scenes are you the most looking forward to from the book that you hope they do justice in the series?
Um, I know that he dreams of, like, when he closed his eyes or something, he dreamed of Kate, or had some sort of vision or something. I want to see that unfold a few times. I need a connection to their banter. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping to see that. Um, I want to see some passion. Who does it? I mean, it's whole historic romance, but
Right.
I want a little knee tangling, and just a little woo. I do want that observed, not just the romance, but what do we all, come to, this for? We want to see our, someone that we desire, portrayed,
Mhm.
and we want that connection to what we desire to unfold. I do. I don't want to speak for the world, but I think that's why it was the number two most watched series ever on
Right.
Netflix,
Mhm.
because it depicted something that, embodied what we all hope or dream about. And so
Mhm.
for me, I want a little knee tangle. I want to go, woo, I want to, feel the connection
Mhm.
not just see the passion, but to feel connected to it. But I want to see some stuff too. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, make it whew, hot, make me tingle.
So
What about you?
from the books, I definitely want to see the Pall Mall scene. I really hope that they do
Okay,
it justice. Like that's one of my favorite
let's
scenes
see.
in the books. We've seen Newton. Newton, I love the
Yes,
dog. That's
I'm
her
not
little
fond of
baby.
Newton, but yeah, Newton.
Yeah. So
Don't you think that's a bit I don't want to say well maybe, real I mean Newton came, there was no forewarning. And Newton, he able to do whatever the hell he want on
uh-huh.
her expensive, extravagant furniture pieces. And I just learned what this is, but I'm just gonna put it out there. And he got dingleberries. It's 1814. Um, you gonna let Newton up on my? Are you serious? That's
Yeah.
brocade. That's
That's
so
expensive stuff.
yeah,
Like, get your dog off my furniture. She says it in one scene.
exactly.
Get off
She
my chair.
does, but she's like observing, good pedigree. I don't
Mhm.
know if my pedigree could be so great in those moments. And I know what's her name, Lady Mary. She just kind of gently, come on, y'all, own this dog. You're not gonna make him
Yes.
have some, where's all of this,
Mhm.
observation of the time and just
Polite. Yeah, the
the
manners. Just
polite,
the
yeah, there's none of that. So yeah, good old Newton. I like how you brought him out. I forgot all about Newton.
So I'm looking forward to the Pall Mall scene. Um, I don't feel like we've gotten little moments between with the chemistry between Antony and Kate. I want to see how they build this. I'm hoping that it is kind of like with Daphne and Simon last season, that they do a really good job, make it consistent to where it builds
Yeah,
consistently.
I like
um
that.
those kinds of things. I want to see some character development from Eloise, because I'm whiny. I'm leaning towards whiny rather than witty this season. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I know she's your favorite. um with Penelope, I did love already how you see how she gets her articles to the printer.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that they have let I don't know how to say her name. Nicola Coughlin, I think is how you say it. She's Irish. The actress
Okay.
herself is Irish. I love that they used her accent in the scenes where she's at the printers
Well,
and
she's
she's like
at the.
haggling with him, pretending that she's a servant. And
Don't
I'm
you? She's
yes, like so that's her natural accent that she's
okay.
using.
I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And then I can already tell I laughed a couple of times.
Okay.
Penelope is real over Eloise already. Like she loves
Yes,
her as
she
her best
is.
friend. She's
She
like, girl,
showing.
I need you
It's
to
it's
get it
showing.
together. Yes.
It's showing.
You can tell a couple of times where she's just like, I'm gonna have to slap you
Yeah.
before the season's over. I can tell.
So the you're silly. So yeah, not only that, I do like you were saying, I wanted to also inquire about like the money that she is getting from all of this. Is she trying to create or build her own dowry? And how is that going to come in? Is it going to, you know, salvage,
Mhm.
the Featherington family, that's
So
also what I'm wondering, how they're going to utilize that to, you
I
know,
think she is struggling with herself because she sees how in dire straits her family is, but they're so mean to her. I don't think
they
she
are.
wants to help them. I think she's building herself a nest egg.
That's what I think. I
Like
think so.
I don't think she's planning on sharing this. She's like, "Oh, this is real bad, but I'm okay." So, maybe if you treated me better, I might share. I really
Oh,
think that's kind of where she's at. I think that's that inner viciousness coming out in her, to where
okay.
she, this box full of money, under her floorboards, and if her family knew about it, it would be gone in a second, and then
Correct.
they would wonder how she got it. You
I
know what I
agree.
mean? And I think she knows her mother is smart, but also not honest. I guess I can't think of the word that I'm wanting for that. That she'll use whatever situation to her advantage. Um, her sisters, I think,
Manipulative.
are both really stupid, and they are, and it's kind of sad. But they are
We
both
just got
not
one more. We just got to get Prudence married off, and we can go and do what we want. I think it's her
yes.
mindset.
Mm,
Um, when I went back and watched season one, I guess I missed this in episode one where she asked could she sit out one more season
mhm,
before she came out, and her mom was like, no. Obviously that was before Marina arrived and things. And
mhm.
so one of the things that I was thinking is they're so served no purpose at all in trying to force that situation. They didn't know what was to befall them. I get it,
Right.
but yeah, you already have two and stuff. So
Right. Well, and you can tell in the family dynamics of the Featherington, she's the least favorite child. She's
hmm
the smartest child. That's probably why she's the least favorite with the way her mother's personality is. Because she can see right through her mama's crap.
exactly.
I think she's probably honestly the most like her mother in a lot
hmm
of ways. Um, I think that you can tell with the older sisters, that they are close, but she's excluded a lot, or she is othered in her own family.
Yeah.
And, over time, we know what that does to a person over time, especially when you're in your own family.
Yep.
And so I think that there is a part of her that likes to be around the Bridgertons because she's included like she's family. She is treated the
That's
same
true.
way as the other children. None
That
of
is
them
true.
make her feel othered. We saw it in season one a couple of times.
hmm
Colin rescues her at one point
hmm
from Cressida Cowper. Anthony does it at one
Yeah.
point. He just straight up calls Cressida out
hmm
on her crap, and is like, "I'm not having it." Now I do think with those older boys, Benedict and Anthony, it's definitely a younger sister type of a
A
situation.
vibe. Yeah.
Um,
So
with Colin, I think he does want to be her friend, but he doesn't see her yet.
he doesn't see
You
her yet. That was the one takeaway that I had from episode two. Colin, you broke my heart with
When he
he's
says
looking.
you don't matter, oh
You
my god,
you
I
don't
wanted to go
matter.
through that.
You're just pen. You're just
Yes,
pen. And
yes.
that is what broke my heart. And I was, because he come back and the way he came in, I was like, ooh, all right,
Uh-huh.
I'm feeling
Right?
something.
He
I
showed up
like
a
how
little
he
bit.
he
Yeah, he's
grew up
got
a
a
little bit. They was like, what's that
yeah.
on your chin? I'm like, yeah, what's that on
Yeah.
your chin? He got a little hair. We growing up, and so I'm there for it now. I'm open to, let's see what we can do. Let's see what type of man he is. And he broke my
Mhm.
heart
He
with that
did.
one sentence. And I felt her pain come through
Yes.
the screen. And so, where can we take this characterization now? And how do we overcome it to where we fall in love with him? I'm waiting, but they drove me into that story just from breaking my heart. Because, we
Yes.
always got to overcome the heartbreak to see the good in
Well,
him. And, oh, he's so wonderful.
I do think Colin, of the three, I think both Benedict and Colin are more likable. I think Colin is
I
probably the
like
most
Benedict a lot.
likable of the three of
hmm
them. Um, but at the same time, he wants to be her friend. Obviously, he has written to her the whole
Oh,
time
yeah.
he's been gone. So they have a correspondence. They have, what I would call a friendship.
hmm
I really don't believe he's not unaware of how she feels about him. Like
Really?
I think he's got an inkling and he doesn't
Well,
know
he
what to
has to
do.
be nicer then, If you have that feeling, treat my feelings more gently. You
Mhm.
don't have to coddle them. They don't have to be, but be more gentle. And telling me that I don't matter, oh, that's not
Yeah.
being gentle with my feelings at all. You just dropped them and stepped on them and kept walking. So we need some
Well,
gentleness, Colin.
And the other thing is, in that scene, there's a, at least I saw it, there's a little bit of a subtext underneath that, you don't matter.
Mm.
I think he was saying, not you don't matter to me, but that I trust that you are not going to be like they are. So
That's
your
what I
opinion,
have in here. Yeah. Like
I
I
think he
hope
puts
that he
faith in that friendship.
that's
Um,
what I have in here is that I hope that he goes on to think, oh crap, that was maybe a bad word choice.
right.
Sometimes people
Mhm.
just didn't say it the way that they actually meant it. And so that's what
Right.
I wrote down as my note is that he later comes to a moment where he's like, God, that was like the wrong word choice, as he's thinking
Mhm.
about her or something like that. But
Yes.
my heart broke in that moment. And I mean, I was like, oh,
Well, I literally wrote in my notes, F you, Colin, you don't count. That's how mad that scene made me.
was like, why did he break my heart?
Hmm.
So hopefully,
Okay, so
like
go ahead.
I was saying, hopefully, there's not another moment like that because that would be just as defining as I'm saying, just oh my God, he's a prick and I don't like him, then I would start to feel that way about Colin. So we have a lot to overcome right now. I'm only in episode 2, but you know,
Yeah.
Mr. Viscount, you got work to do to win me over at this point. You got some work
All
to
right.
do.
So, what do you think about so far about the new Lord Featherington? Because I think he's probably not as good as he seems. I wrote it in my notes. Hello, Lord F. He's hot.
That's
But
that's how
is
I
he as
feel.
good as you think? Is he going to
So
be the same?
I hope that he just throws Lady Featherington on a desk and just plows her. That's just me where I'm going with that because I
Yeah.
feel like that's what she needs. But I wasn't expecting him to be like I was saying earlier, I like, height. And I think it looks very prominent and when the man is tall, and especially with all of the elegance that the dresses that they're wearing, it looks nice
The,
up
the
against it.
clothes on the
The
men are
clothes.
definitely, yes. I know what you're
It,
saying. Yes.
it, it makes the man, yeah. So
Mhm.
with that said, he's attractive. Obviously, her husband wasn't as attractive, and she was more of the directing, guiding, controlling, force in the relationship. And I feel that he could actually come in and tame her,
Mhm.
a lot. Not so much that, I mean, maybe she could soften up when it comes to how she interacts with Penelope. But I feel like that's what she needs, right? She needs passion in her life,
Mhm.
and it's not something that someone can tell her. It's not a lesson that she can learn, being put out, because that's going to make her more miserable, more bitter.
Mhm.
So I think she needs passion in her life.
Yes.
And I think he's the one that can give it to her. I can't imagine any other circumstance to where she could get some passion. So that's what I'm
Mhm.
hoping that he does for me. He gives another angle, another storyline, because she's just going to be, a storyline. So let's add, the scandal there, because you know what people are gonna say. Aren't they cousins? Isn't that? Oh gosh, So that could be the scandal I'm looking for. But we need some scandal.
Right. Okay, so I did that one, and then let's talk about. I've got a couple things. So the relationship between the sisters, I'm loving it. Like, it's showing they have a very good relationship. They trust each other. They love each other very deeply. They're very close as sisters. I think even with Mary, we know from the books that Mary is not Kate's birth mother. She is her stepmother.
Yes,
They have the
yes,
same father. They have different mothers. Um, the relationship, even between just the whole family, I'm there for it. I personally love how much crap that the Bridgerton siblings give each other, because it's just like a constant barrage, and that's a real sibling bond. Like, my sister and I do it. Anybody that has siblings knows that you're
yes.
very likely to give your siblings crap like that about anything and everything that you possibly can. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that is a very true bond. I think you can see how close the actors are to each other, how
Hmm.
much time they've gotten to spend around each other, because it really, you can feel it, or at least I can feel it through the screen. They're fond of each other, but they're also not going to give them any kind of leeway. Um,
That's true.
um, the other thing I put on here is the Queen Mary, the Queen and Lady Mary got some beef, and I want to know what it's about.
So that's the other thing. Like the queen is just going in on her. She is throwing
Mhm,
out these little barbs and these comments.
mhm.
Shout out to you, Mary. You handling it because I would have been like, the hell with y'all. I'm gone. I'm out of here. You know.
Right? Yes.
And there would have
So
been
I
scandal
want
at the
to know.
balls.
Yes. So obviously, Lady Danbury and Lady Mary know each other from, I'm assuming, childhood, right? So they probably grew up together,
They did.
or at some point they knew each other, because that's why Lady Danbury is hosting them.
Hmm.
Um,
So it was see, that's what I can't understand the scandal behind because all that happened was Lady Mary married a clerk. The dad was
okay. So here's why that's scandalous, okay? Because in those times, marriage was more of a business arrangement. And you hear them say it in the first season, getting to marry
hmm
for love is a privilege, because most of those arranged marriages, especially in the Ton, were for business purposes. That's why the dowries are a big deal. It's about money that you can bring in, all of that kind of stuff. It's business. And that's how a lot of those marriages were seen. So the fact that if she was a lady, we don't know where she's at on the hierarchy of, society, but if she's a lady, she married way below her station. It's
okay.
basically like a royal marrying a commoner. Okay.
Whew,
Yes.
whew.
So
Okay, so
that's why
that's
it was,
understood now.
is that she married way below her station. Now she married for love, which for us makes more sense than marrying for a financial situation. But back then, when women couldn't own money or couldn't own property or anything, they didn't
Okay.
have any possessions of their own. When a woman back in that time, you belonged to your father until you got married, and everything that you owned belonged to your father. Okay. And then when you got married, everything that you had belonged to your husband.
Mm.
Okay? You didn't really
So you got to
technically
come packed with some stuff. Mm.
exactly. So, there were ways to guarantee that they could be taken care of, like husbands couldn't gamble away money, all of that kind of stuff. But that was the reality of the situation, is women could not own anything, right?
Okay.
Um, so you were basically very reliant on your male relatives and them really looking out for you, whatever relative that may be. So the Featheringtons are actually in a very, very scary place right now.
Precarious, yeah,
Yes,
precarious
very
position because they
precarious.
could have been turned out. I definitely
Yes,
know
he
that
literally
the
could turn them out into the
hmm
streets. Now,
and
honor
that's what they
wise,
worried about with all that stuff was piled up when they come in. Yeah, so
you
that
know,
could have happened.
so honor wise, he is honor bound to take care of them because he is their male relative and they are female
And it was
relatives.
in what was it? Yeah, he. So they said something about he's going to honor like the dower. Is that something that was set out in the will by the husband or something, or?
Okay, so you remember that the husband ran Lord Finch off in season 1, and then when he won the money, he
Hmm.
was like, "Oh no, you can marry her." So there would have been contracts signed before,
Okay.
like during an engagement. So they would ask the family, for permission. He would have asked her father for permission to marry, and then he would have asked her. And, then the two heads of family would have
Would have come
gotten together and
together.
basically
Okay.
ironed out this marriage agreement. And it would have said, how much her allowance was from her husband, where they were going to live. Sometimes it had children, requirements for children, to, especially if they were landed gentry, so they had someone to carry on
Okay. To keep the
that
land
line.
and
It
stuff.
would have it's basically what we would consider a prenup
Okay.
today, are very similar to what these contracts stated. It would have had pretty much everything in there. What happens in the event of his death, could have been predetermined by the marriage agreement. And then if, when he made his will would have to agree with the marriage agreements. So those marriage agreements would have to be honored. So that was the way that women could be taken care of, basically. So let's say you had a super rich heiress. So like the dukes, let's say the Duke and the Duchess, Simon and Daphne, they have a daughter, right? Simon is smart enough to know he's going to be able to give his daughter a lot of money. He's rich, right? But he's going to make sure in her marriage agreements that although her husband technically has control of that money, there's only certain ways he can access it and certain ways he can spend it. Because if he dies or he gambles away his own fortune, he wants his kid taken care of, right?
Good.
So
okay, so that makes sense.
That's where the original, the daughter's family would have been able to protect their daughter in several ways, as far as, how that dowry was handled, as far as how that dowry was spent. There were provisions a lot of times set aside for, like the husband of the relationship would provide, for his sons, but a lot of times the dowry of the mother would provide for her daughter's dowries. Okay. So like if the mother died, let's say she had 2 kids and then died in childbirth, a lot of times her dowry would then transfer to a daughter that she had. Instead of
that makes sense then.
So that's where you start getting into trusts and, different things like that. All of that was handled in those marriage agreements. And so when they're talking about with the Finches, has the dowry been paid? All of that kind of stuff.
That's all they kept asking about. I wanted to smack the hell out of that dad. I told you it might not be the right time, the mother says. Why y'all come over here? Y'all came just to ask. Send a letter.
Right. But, they at that point, it didn't take long. Engagements were only maybe a month or 2.
I was getting that sense also because
a long engagement.
Yeah, so they're saying it's been 10 months since the last season. And obviously her husband died at the end of the last,
right. So they would have gone into mourning. Okay. So the societal norms is your husband or someone close to the family dies. You would have then gone into mourning. Okay. Which means you're not attending balls. You're not going out and seeing people. You're not visiting with people, all of that kind of stuff. You basically are at home with the family. They would have probably retreated to their country homes. So when the season ends, all these people go off to their country pile. I'm sure you've heard that phrase. They would have gone to their country homes and spent that time there. And then there would have been stages of mourning. So, if it was your husband that died, you probably were going to be in mourning for at least a full year. So the fact that she's already out of mourning and back for the season is actually a little bit different. That's why she's getting some shade for that.
She's getting some shade, and that's why, it stood out to me because he was like, it's only been 10 months. And I'm like, get your life and mind your business.
I think it was Lady Cowper that was like, we weren't expecting to see you this soon.
Yes. Yep.
So
that's true.
It would have been in mourning for a year. So you have those kinds of societal norms there. I can't remember what else you had asked about.
Well, we talked about that. Also,
so weddings.
I think we touched on it. The wedding, yeah.
So basically what would happen is after a couple got engaged, they would work on the marriage contracts. And then they would basically announce their intention to marry, and then they would have to read the banns. Okay. So basically reading the banns was basically making an announcement that this couple intended to get married. And I think they had to read the banns had to be read 4 times, and they were only done once a month or once a week, usually on Sundays in the church. And so basically 4 weeks of reading the banns is a month. And so that's why most marriages took a month. Now you could get a special license like we saw Daphne and Simon do to get married sooner than that without the reading of the banns. But it's kind of...
So that's, that ties it all together.
Mm-hmm. It's a mandatory waiting period. So just like now you go and you get a marriage license, there's a waiting period from the date you get the marriage license to the date you can actually get married. Okay. And it varies from state to state. But that's basically what reading the banns was, is it made this announcement to everyone. This couple was getting married.
And
And then once their waiting period was over, they would get married. So
they would
that's
get
why it
married.
usually
Okay.
took about a month.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I like that.
So you get a history
Well,
lesson over here.
yeah, I mean, it's tying it all together. Obviously, we don't have a course that we can take. So this is all based on, reading and, kind of
Mhm.
looking things up and doing our own personal research, feeling whatever connection we feel to these eras, Edwardian,
Right.
Regency, Victorian, whatever your preference is, it usually comes from, the connection you feel to either what material you read or what you see on TV. So
Exactly.
it does help, to be able to connect it and understand, what that backstory is. So kudos to you.
Right. Yes.
It
Thank
does
you.
tie things together for me.
Who
This
knew
has
being
been
a
great.
teacher
It's been totally
beneficial,
great.
right?
So when are we
Okay.
getting together again? You got
So
something
I
to
think
know?
it's going to be a week. I have one more thing we need to talk about, and that is
Okay.
the end scene where Madame Delacroix catches Penelope in the lower end market, right?
Yes.
Penelope should not have been there. That she is
At
not
all.
supposed to be in that part of town.
Mm,
Like she's unescorted, even, which
totally.
was completely scandalous.
Yes.
So many things, bad things could have happened to her. So, do we think she's going to be found out early, or do you think Madame Delacroix might become an ally? Is she an ally
That
or
is that's a good question. Um, I I for me, I wondered if there would be a way for Lady Whistledown at that point to start pointing fingers. But I
mm,
wonder if the pointing of fingers would be able to be done to where someone can definitely say, no, it's not. Clearly someone would have to put Lady Delacroix or Madame Delacroix as well as Penelope in the same, area at the same time. Who else was there that would have been able to qualify them as possible? But that's what I'm hoping comes from that, is that she
okay.
figures a way to say, hey, I think I know who it is. And then I'm under the, spotlight. She's
Mhm.
under the spotlight and maybe two or three other people. But I don't know. The queen was
The
trying
queen's
to
on it.
figure
She's
out.
got pictures and
And
everything.
I saw them pictures and I'm like, whoo, whoo, she getting close.
Yes.
So if the wrong person is in that picture, and they start speculating, and it gets back to Madame Delacroix. Yeah, it's gonna come out sooner than later. I was kind
Okay.
of hoping that it didn't come out though. I'm kind of hoping that for the series that it
Mhm.
doesn't come out. I
Yes.
like I said, I would like for the series at least for it to be a way for them to use the whistle down as a voice to control what's going on,
Yes.
because I don't
Mhm.
want to see we know how history has formed itself, through societal norms, prejudices, and if you in power and you have money, you determine the class structure. So
Right.
hopefully we can use Lady Whistledown as a voice for just the series at least. So that's
Mhm.
what I'm hoping. We'll see.
Okay. All right, so we will be back next week. I don't know if we'll be on Tia's channel or on Stephanie's channel, but we'll be on one of their channels to discuss episodes 3 and 4. And so if you would like to join us, please make sure you put your comments, all of that stuff in the box. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this chit chat. We are going to watch those 2 episodes this coming week. We're going to make our notes. We're going to come back and have another discussion. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for spilling the tea with us. And we will see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.